What you're about to see is one of the weirdest walk-offs in baseball history. Let's unpack how it happened. It's July 26, 2011, and the 53-47 Pittsburgh Pirates are taking on the 59-44 Atlanta Braves at Turner Field. The Braves are 6 games back on the league-leading Phillies in the NL East at the start of the day, but they have the third-best record in the National League and are sitting in wild-card position. The Pirates are tied for first place in the NL Central, so a win today would keep them solidly in the division title race. So as far as regular season games go, this one could be classified as reasonably important compared to most of them. It's just after 7 p.m. and Tommy Hanson is on the hill for the Braves. Xavier Paul is batting first and leads off the game with a single to left. He swipes second a few pitches later and then advances to third on a grounder by Garrett Jones. Neil Walker comes up and triples to right on the first pitch he sees, knocking in the first run of the day. After an Andrew McCutchen flyout, Pedro Alvarez comes up and singles to right, plating Walker. The inning would end on a Lyle Overbay flyout to center fielder and former Pirate Nate McLeod. 2-0 Pirates. The Braves failed to score in their half of the first, so the Pirates are back up. They add another run in the top of the second off a Michael McKinry solo home run. The Braves again failed to score in the bottom of the second, but Hanson got it together in the top of the third, and the Pirates went 3 up, 3 down. The Braves finally got the bats going in the bottom of the third with a Brian McCann single to left, followed by a Freddie Freeman single into shallow right. That brings up Dan Uggla with 2 on and 2 out. If you've ever seen Dan Uggla play the game of baseball, then you probably think this inning is now over. Ordinarily, you'd be right, but today is different. Dan Uggla is currently riding a 17-game hitting streak. He started on July 5th with a league-worst average of 173, and entering today's game, he has raised it to a slightly less horrendous 198 average, only slightly below the Mendoza line. In the bottom of the second today, he extended his hitting streak to 18 games with a single to center field. And so with 2 on and 2 out and a 2-2 count, Dan Uggla stayed hot and hit a single to center field, scoring Brian McCann and advancing Freddie Freeman to second. Eric Hinsky is up next and walks on a full count, loading the bases for Jason Hayward. Hayward hits one back up the middle and plays Freddie Freeman and Dan Uggla, tying the game at 3. Julio Lugo grounded out right after that, ending the third inning, tied 3-3. And that was all the offense there would be for another 15 and a half innings. In the top of the ninth, the Pirates did have a chance to go ahead with a runner on third and 1 out, but some heads-up fielding from the Braves resulted in Michael McKinley getting picked off after being a little too enthusiastic on the sac bunt attempt. Additionally, in the bottom half of the ninth, both Nate McLeod and Braves manager Freddie Gonzalez were ejected for arguing with umpire Jerry Meals after McLeod struck out. Fast forward to almost 2 a.m. and this thing is still going. Neither team can put the other away. This game has been going on for so long that a fan in left field resorted to doing this to stay entertained. Anyways, it's the middle of the night and Julio Lugo gets the bottom of the 19th started with a walk and advances to third on a Jordan Schaefer single to center field. And that brings up the man himself, Scott Proctor. Scott Proctor is a relief pitcher, and not a good one at that. This is his 7th season in Major League Baseball, and heading into today's game, he has an ERA of 7.36 on the season. He used to be a serviceable relief pitcher, but not so much anymore. It's possible Proctor has struggled during his career because of overuse early on. When he was on the Yankees, manager Joe Torre used him frequently, having him appear a league-leading 83 times in 2006. After that season, Proctor was never really the same. Scott Proctor is also known for setting his equipment on fire after a poor outing in June 2007. He said it was a joke, but either way, that's still really, really weird. He's actually pitched pretty well today, keeping the Pirates off the board. But right now, Scott Proctor's not pitching. He's at the plate. Being a relief pitcher and playing 4 of his 7 years in the American League, he hasn't had many opportunities to hit until today. Before now, he's had 3 plate appearances that went like this. All strikeouts. He has never put a ball in play going into today's game, much less run the bases. He did get a chance to hit earlier today, though, and finally put the bat on the ball, grounding out to third in the bottom of the 17th inning. So here we are, 7 hours and 19 innings after the first pitch. We have a guy who is a career 0 hitter and who sometimes lights his equipment on fire at the plate with an 0-2 count, ready to strike out once again and keep this game going into a 20th inning.
Ground ball. Alvarez coming home, and it's not in time. He's called safe, and the Braves win the game.
That's right. Jerry Meals called Julio Lugo safe at home, to the surprise of everyone, including Julio Lugo. Before we get into the call, let's look at how Scott Proctor's first chance to run the bases went. He takes 2 steps out of the box and just wipes out. Pirates pitcher Daniel McCutchen was so sure that Lugo was out that he's motioning to the catcher to throw to first to try to double up the man who just hit the deck. None of this matters, though, because Julio Lugo is safe and the game is over. Some people call this one of the worst calls of all time. I know it can't be the worst one ever because that belongs to this. In the end, the throw beat Lugo by a mile, and I don't know how McKinry could have missed the tag, but it had been 7 hours, and I think this call was Jerry Meals saying it's time to go home. And if he was right, then I think you have to give him a lot of credit for the boldness of the call. He did, however, come out and say he got it wrong, citing an alternate angle he saw after the game as evidence. They couldn't review the call on the field either because video review is only used for home runs at this point. The interesting thing about this game is that the Pirates were having one of their best years in a while up to this point in the season, but this game broke them. They were 53-47 going into the game, but would go 19-43 the rest of the season, finishing third in the division at 72-90. 24 games back from the first-place Brewers. The Braves would also miss the playoff, losing the division to the Phillies and coming up a game short in the wild card of the eventual World Series champion Cardinals. Scott Proctor was dealt to the Yankees not long after this game, where he would pitch 11 innings, giving up 11 runs for an ERA of 9. 2011 would be his last season in Major League Baseball.
Wake up to the